My wife cheated while I paid for her MBA tuition, so I took the house and left. Her struggling alone without any warning. I'm a 34-year-old guy, and for the past 5 years, I thought I was living a dream marriage. Melissa and I met in college, one of those whirlwind romances that seemed to outlast the chaos of exams, internships, and job offers. She was this fiery, determined woman who always talked about doing something big, like getting her MBA and starting her own company. I loved that about her. I was the stable one, the planner. She was the dreamer. Somewhere in between, we balanced each other. We got married a year after graduation, and I stepped into the role of provider with pride. I worked full-time at a corporate job and took on freelance design work in the evenings. It wasn't glamorous, just enough to squirrel away a bit each month for her future tuition. Melissa promised she'd make it up to me someday. "We're a team," she'd say, brushing her hand across mine, eyes glowing with that same fire that made me fall for her. Our apartment was small but cozy. We used to cook dinner together every Friday, her famous garlic pasta and my overcooked chicken, and then binge Netflix like teenagers. I never felt like I was missing out. I believed in her, in us. And when she finally got accepted into a top-tier MBA program 3 states over, I didn't hesitate. I said, "We'll make it work." I meant it. But something started shifting once classes began. She became busier at first, understandably so. Then it got excessive. Networking dinners, weekend case competitions, study groups that went until 2 a.m. She started dressing differently. Too sleeker, more polished. Less Melissa in sweats, more Melissa the executive in training. I chalked it up to growth. That's what I told myself the first time she canceled our weekly video call for a late-night presentation run-through. I didn't question it, but it wouldn't be the last. I kept telling myself it was just the pressure of grad school. Melissa had always been ambitious. This was her dream, after all. So when she started staying out later and replying to my messages hours after I sent them, I forced myself to understand. "She's busy," I'd whisper, staring at my phone screen at 11 p.m., the read receipt glowing back at me like a taunt. I told myself not to be insecure, not to be needy, but little things started to stack up. She started putting passwords on everything: her phone, her laptop even, though we'd always had open access before. I noticed she never took video calls with me from her apartment anymore. She'd claim the Wi-Fi was spotty or that her roommate was asleep. Her voice used to sound excited to hear me. Now, it felt like I was calling a coworker who just wanted to hang up one night. She mentioned she'd gone out to dinner with a group of classmates, including someone named Tyler. "He's just in my marketing cohort," she said, brushing it off with a laugh. Super annoying, honestly. I remember chuckling along, but there was this tightness in my chest I couldn't shake, a gut feeling that something was off. Even my best friend Ray pulled me aside one night. "You sure she's not?" "I don't know." Slipping away a bit, he asked carefully, "You're working yourself to the bone for her." Man, I got defensive. Told him he didn't understand her hustle. But the truth was, deep down I had already started to feel like a stranger in my own marriage. Then came the business trip to New York. Melissa insisted it was vital for her consulting. Track and I didn't even blink before booking her. Flights, hotel, everything. I wanted her to succeed, but when I went through our credit card statement later, there was a $150 charge for dinner at a restaurant that wasn't on the itinerary, and she'd never mentioned it. When Melissa's second semester started, the tuition bill hit like a sledgehammer, nearly $40,000 for the year. She hesitated to bring it up, but I told her not to worry. I had been saving for years, planning ahead so she could chase her dream without debt hanging over her head. "You're incredible," she whispered, her voice soft against my chest. But something about it felt rehearsed. I cashed out part of my retirement fund to make the payment in full. Watching that transfer clear gave me this strange mix of pride and dread. It was everything I had worked for, gone in one click, all for her future. I told myself it was love, commitment, partnership. That's what marriage meant, right? Sacrifice. But in the quiet moments after she left for class, I started to feel hollow, like I was the only one still holding up our foundation. Melissa began to change after that. Her messages became shorter, her tone colder. She stopped saying "I love you" at the end of calls. When she came home during breaks, she'd scroll her phone endlessly, smiling at messages she wouldn't let me see. Her wardrobe transformed: blazers, heels, perfume I didn't recognize. She started attending networking mixers on weekends, saying things like, "You wouldn't understand. It's just part of the culture." One night, she came home late from a study session, laughing too loudly as she stumbled through the door. I asked who she was with, and she snapped, "Why are you always so suspicious? Can't you just trust me for once?" I apologized, feeling guilty for even asking. Then, a few weeks later, she posted a group photo on Instagram, all smiles at a rooftop bar, arms draped around classmates. There, in the corner, was Tyler, his hand resting on her lower back. I told myself it was innocent, just friends. But the unease had become a constant weight in my chest. Something inside me whispered that the woman I was paying tuition for wasn't the same woman I had married. It happened on a Thursday night. Melissa had flown home for a long weekend, said she needed to reset her mental space. I was grateful maybe we could reconnect. We hadn't spent more than a few consecutive hours together in months. She seemed distracted, but I didn't push. That night, she took a long shower, blasting music like she used to back in college. For the first time in weeks, I let myself believe that maybe we were okay. Then, I saw her laptop, left open on the dining table, still glowing. Notifications were popping up. Messages. My heart started pounding. I didn't mean to snoop. I swear I didn't. But when the name Tyler flashed across the screen, followed by "Miss You already," my hand moved before my brain caught up. I clicked. It was like stepping off a cliff. There were dozens, no hundreds of messages. Photos, hotel receipts, inside jokes, late-night confessions. Her calling him babe, planning weekend trips. Mocking me? She called me boring. Said she was only staying married to keep the money flowing. There was even a message where she told him, "Once I get this MBA and my foot in the door, I'll finally be free." I sat there frozen, reading the words over and over again. Everything inside me shattered. My chest felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just shut down. I copied everything. Screenshots, email threads, photos. I emailed them to myself and saved them to a drive labeled insurance. When Melissa stepped out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, humming some pop song, I smiled. I pretended I didn't know a thing. I kissed her forehead. She had no idea she had just detonated the bomb that would eventually blow up her entire world she thought I'd never find. She was wrong. The hardest part wasn't discovering the truth, it was pretending I hadn't. For weeks after that night, I played my role like a seasoned actor. I kissed her goodbye when she left for class, sent her money when she forgot to pay rent, and replied with heart emojis when she texted me sweet nothings in the middle of her lies. Every smile, every "I love you" I whispered back was a carefully placed mask. Inside, I was crumbling. But outside, I was calm, calculated. I spent every free moment preparing for my exit. Met with a divorce attorney and laid it all out. The tuition I paid, the mortgage solely under my name, the screenshots, the timeline. My lawyer nodded slowly and said, "You have more leverage than you think." That was the first time I felt the faint flicker of power return. I began securing the financial foundation I had built with my own hands. I moved shared funds into an account under my name. I contacted the bank to ensure Melissa wasn't listed anywhere on the deed. I made sure she couldn't touch a cent without my signature, and I did it all in silence. She had no idea I knew, and that made it easier to let her hang herself with her own rope. Sometimes she'd call late at night, drunk on cheap wine and ego, laughing about some professor who hit on her, or how Tyler wasn't ready to settle down yet. But maybe someday. I'd nod along, murmur something like, "You deserve happiness," while imagining the exact day I'd pull the rug from under her. I even sent her flowers once. She posted them online with a caption that read, "When your husband still worships you." She had no clue. But the best revenge, I was learning, wasn't rage. It was quiet, strategic, and coming faster than she could ever expect. Just when I thought I had the upper hand, Melissa beat me to the punch. Or so she thought. It was a Sunday afternoon. We were on a video call, her in her apartment, sipping wine, me pretending to be relaxed. She was in an unusually chatty mood, talking about how transformative her MBA journey had been, and how she felt like she was finally becoming who she was meant to be. I nodded, smiling at all the right moments. Then she dropped it. "I've been thinking," she said, swirling her glass. "Maybe when I graduate, we should take a break. Time to explore, figure ourselves out. I've changed a lot. I think you've stayed the same." I froze, but only for a beat. "A break?" I asked, soft, almost hurt. "Yeah, nothing permanent. Just space. Maybe we could try being open for a while. See what else is out there." It hit me like a slap. She wasn't just cheating. She was preparing to officially cut ties after bleeding me dry. She wanted me to fund her dreams, carry the emotional weight, and then quietly disappear once I had no more value. I kept my face still, said I understood, told her I wanted her to be happy. She seemed relieved, even grateful. That smug, pitying smile on her face would burn in my memory forever. After the call, I stared at the blank screen, fists clenched. I had hoped to leave with dignity, quietly, but now her plan made things clear. She was never going to walk away clean. She was going to discard me like dead weight, like I had been a stepping stone. That was the moment something in me snapped, the moment I stopped hoping for closure and started hungering for justice. If she wanted space, she'd get it. But first, I'd take everything. The next morning, I poured myself a cup of coffee and began executing the plan like it was just another project deadline. No emotion, no just quiet precision. First, I moved the rest of our joint savings into a trust under my name, completely legal, since every dollar had come from my paychecks. I changed all my online passwords, removed her as a secondary contact from every account, and notified the bank that any future requests would need to go through me directly. Then I met with my lawyer again. We drafted the divorce paperwork, but held off on filing. Timing was everything. I called my HR department and arranged for a temporary relocation. My company had a satellite office out west, and I had enough unused vacation days to disappear for a while once the papers dropped. I also made sure the house, which was solely under my name since I bought it before marriage, was fully protected. I checked the deed twice. Meanwhile, Melissa kept playing her part. She'd text things like, "Miss you, babe?" Or Tyler said something hilarious today, "Remind me to tell you later," as if I were just some harmless placeholder in her little fantasy life. She had no clue she was living in a glass castle. One night she sent me a voice note, giggling, "Don't be mad, but I may have told my study group I'm technically single now. For networking purposes, She laughed, as if that line was charming. I stared at my phone, dead-eyed, and saved the audio file. By this point, I wasn't hurt anymore. I was focused, cold, clinical. She thought I was fading into the background while she blossomed into her new self. But I was just waiting in the wings, preparing the perfect stage for her fall, and the curtain was about to rise. Melissa's graduation weekend arrived, and she practically floated through it like she was royalty. She invited me down for the ceremony, but I told her work was too crazy right now, which, truth was, I had no intention of playing trophy husband for her crowd. She didn't argue. I think she preferred it that way. She wanted to shine without the reminder of who paid for that cap and gown. She posted pictures online, her in a sleek black dress, Tyler's hand barely out of frame in one, a champagne flute in the other. I recognized the smile she used to reserve for me, now gifted to everyone else. Her caption read, "A new chapter begins. #MBA, #girlboss." While she celebrated, I stayed busy. That same weekend, I finalized the legal transfer of the house's deed solely into my name. The paperwork had been mostly done for months. Now it was official. I changed the locks, updated the security system, and informed the utilities of the ownership change. My lawyer prepared a delivery packet, divorce papers, evidence of her affair, and a detailed financial breakdown showing just how little she was entitled to. Then I had the locks changed. Her name was never on the mortgage. Her clothes, her things, boxed neatly and labeled, were left on the front porch Sunday night. She called, tipsy and laughing. "Tyler says hi," she slurred. "I might stay an extra day. Don't miss me too much." I didn't answer. Monday morning, she came home early, likely hoping for a quiet recovery day in her bathrobe. Sipping coffee from the mug I bought her our first year of marriage. Instead, she stood on the porch, pounding on the door she no longer had a key for. Staring at her life in cardboard boxes, then the process server walked up the driveway and said her name. I watched from across the street. Sitting in my parked car, engine off, heart steady, Melissa stood frozen as the process server handed her the thick envelope. She barely took it before her eyes flicked to the boxers beside her, her entire life neatly packed, taped, labeled like expired inventory. She called me 37 times that day. I let each one ring out. She sent messages, voice notes, starting angry, then confused, then panicked. I didn't respond to a single one. By nightfall, she was sitting on the porch, her head in her hands, mascara streaked across her face, her graduation sash still dangling from her purse like a cruel joke. Tyler never showed up. I knew he wouldn't. From what I'd gathered, he'd already started ghosting her, she just hadn't caught up yet. The divorce packet detailed everything, her infidelity, the financial records proving I funded every step of her education, the absence of her name on the deed. It was airtight. She'd get nothing. No spousal support, no share of the house, no claim on the savings account I had already moved. She had gambled everything and lost. She tried calling my sister, then Ray. Told them I had lost it, that I had blindsided her, painting herself as the victim. But no one bought it. Not after I shared the screenshots, the messages, the voice notes. One by one, the people who once admired her began to distance themselves. Her image shattered faster than she could repair it. That night, I slept in a hotel room, staring at the ceiling, strangely calm, not triumphant, not angry, just empty. She had hollowed me out piece by piece for over a year. And now, standing in the wreckage, I finally realized I didn't want revenge. I wanted freedom, but that freedom had to come at a price, and she had just paid it in full by the next morning. Melissa's tone had completely shifted. The angry calls turned into shaky voice notes. The texts changed from, "You're a monster," to, "Can we talk?" And then, "Please, I made a mistake." She tried calling me babe again, like the last year hadn't happened, like the man she'd betrayed was just waiting in the wings to forgive her. I didn't block her. I wanted her to feel the silence, that heavy, soul-splitting quiet where guilt festers. 3 days later, she emailed me a 5-paragraph apology titled, "I Still Love You." She blamed stress, grad school, pressure, confusion. She said Tyler didn't mean anything and that she just needed validation. I read it once, emotionless, then archived it. She didn't want forgiveness. She wanted a do-over, a reset button. But life doesn't give those when you burn someone to the ground. I found out she had moved in temporarily with a friend from her cohort. A week later, that arrangement fell apart. Apparently, Melissa had been talking behind her back to, she was couch surfing now, barely scraping together rent money from her part-time consulting gigs. Her Instagram posts changed. Gone were the rooftop selfies and champagne flutes. Now it was quotes about healing, growing, and learning from pain. It was almost laughable. Friends started messaging me. "She's not doing well. She talks about you all the time. She says you were the best thing that ever happened to her." I didn't respond to any of them. She had made her choices loud, public ones, and I had made mine quietly. She lost the house, the marriage, her image, and the future she thought she had locked in. And the best part, I never raised my voice. I never stooped to her level. I just walked away, and I let everything crumble behind me. It's strange how quiet peace can be. After months of chaos, silence became my sanctuary. No late-night arguments. No cryptic excuses. No cold stares over dinner pretending nothing was wrong. Just me in my own house, finally alone, but not lonely. Cashed in a few vacation days I'd been hoarding like gold. I painted the living room a new shade of blue. Something she always said felt too moody. I liked it. I liked that I could choose it without anyone rolling their eyes or making me second-guess it. I replaced the couch. Donated the throw pillows she insisted were aesthetic. Burned a candle that smelled like cedar, and citrus, her favorite, was lavender. That one went straight in the trash. I started therapy too. Not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand why I tolerated so little for so long. Why I mistook sacrifice for love. Why I thought funding someone else's dream was enough to make them stay. One day, I got an email from her. A single line. "Can we talk just once, please?" I responded with just as much restraint. "This is the life you chose." I just made it official. After that, the silence between us became permanent. I started dating again, not seriously, just enough to remind myself I was still a person. still capable of connection, still worth something. I began working out, picked up photography, took a solo trip to Oregon. For the first time in years, I wasn't bending myself around someone else's ambition. I was building a life I actually wanted, not the one I was told to accept. Melissa became just another chapter in a book I had outgrown, and with every new page, I felt lighter, freer, more like myself again. But I wasn't done rewriting my story. Not yet. It's funny how life has a way of circling back, offering you the same stage, just with a different script. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I enrolled in an MBA program. Not to impress anyone, not to chase status or bragging rights, but because I wanted to. I'd spent years funding someone else's dream, only to be discarded the moment she saw me as dead weight. Now, every dollar going into this program was mine. Every assignment, every project, every sleepless night mine. And the difference? I wasn't using someone else as a stepping stone. I remember walking into orientation, a quiet confidence in my chest. I wasn't the oldest in the room, but I wasn't the youngest either. Some of my classmates talked about generational wealth and startup seed funding. I didn't care. I had earned every inch of my path the hard way. One of the professors, an older woman with sharp eyes and a no BS attitude, asked us during the first session, "Why are you here?" I didn't say much, just this: to rebuild. From scratch, on my terms. She nodded. That was enough. A few weeks in, a mutual friend reached out, said he'd run into Melissa at some pop-up retail event. She was working part-time, bouncing between gigs, still trying to find something stable. Said she looked tired, like someone who had sprinted hard in the wrong direction. I didn't gloat, I just listened. And then I let it go, because this was never about revenge. It was about release. She used me to rise and thought I'd never rise again, but here I was, building something bigger, better, not just a degree, not just a career, a life. One she'd never have access to again.